We got a filled show, you would say, here with you guys.
It sounds like it, and you know I can't carry a show by myself, Coach.
No.
So we're glad to have you back, and we hope you're feeling better. And
Yep.
let's get to business.
All right, so let's just talk about where we are. So last night you played Owen J. Roberts. You finished out your pack season. You guys lost at the buzzer essentially to those guys out there, and now and it knocked you out of the top 22 for districts now. So essentially, we're done. Springfield basketball 2020, 21 season's over.
That's it. And credit to O&J. They, you know, they had 4 wins going into that game. We only had 6, and they came in there and did what they had to do. Shot the ball well, played with confidence, did all the little things, and you know, that essentially ended our season. So, you know, credit to them.
Do you think the kids in the room, did they kind of like know the gravity of the situation too? Like, were they aware, like where we're at in district? Do you think they had had you guys talked about, I guess is my question.
Yes.
So they knew what was at stake last night a little bit too.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back here. It's been, weeks since we talked about we were going to have highlights. So let's talk about there's no highlights of them, but let's talk about the 2 Boyertown games for you guys. So you had them here, and then you went there essentially in the next game you played, and 2 tough losses to Boyertown, who seems to be peaking here at the right stage. Were those games against you guys kind of really got them going a little bit there? But I'm sure in both games you were like opportunities to win the game.
I feel like you could say that from, take away the Mythac or the PV game, first game back from quarantine. If you toss that out, I feel like there's pretty much every game you could have had that same exact conversation. But specific to your point, the Boyertown games, there's times in the game where it's a 1-point game, a 2-point game, and then a couple laps in defensive ends, and not getting some 50-50 balls or some hustle points or poor foul shooting. That 1-point lead goes to 9 real quick.
Yeah, I mean it's because that was thinking in my head is that especially talking about the home game, some big missed free throws, some missed assignments on defense, make some 3. I'm sure you're saying it more too. So being in the program, the coach be like, we're 20 whatever in districts, but boy, we could be the 5th. We could be a top 5 team as if just a couple things go your way, you find a way to win a game, you find a way to make some free throws, get that big stop, get that big rebound.
Yeah, and it's easier to swallow. And as a coach, you have to take a look in the mirror and take responsibility. And it's a reflection of me as a coach. And one game of that you can kind of stomach, I guess. But a whole season of that, then it's what am I doing wrong? What am I not teaching correctly as a staff? What changes? What lineups? What can we do to shake it up? What defense should we be playing? What combination? Like you kind of, you feel like everything is on your shoulders at some point, and it's one of those season-long puzzles that you never figured out.
And I'll probably be the guy here making some excuses, helping you guys out.
Right.
Just so everybody knows, the last 3 weeks of the season, no practices essentially. It was like you said at the beginning of the year. It's like AAU, you show up in the car and you go play basketball. Things you want to work on, situational basketball. You didn't have it. There was no opportunity to do it too.
You're not going to get that from me because there's a handful of teams in that same boat. It's a bad year to not be able to practice. And we've talked about it at a couple of our shows previously. Anytime when you lose 3 or 4 starters, and that happens a lot at Springfield because typically by senior class you got 2 or 3 really good seniors that are starting, then you have a new wave coming each year. Mm-hmm. And they're coming right from JV to varsity, and that's a really tough jump in itself. That's a really tough jump to play in a condensed season without having essentially an off season and practice time. So it's not specific to us. So at that point, you feel like you're all on the same level playing field. You need to be a better coach adjusting on the fly than everybody else and prepare your team, and we didn't do that.
And what kids make the jump faster, not just here at Springfield, other schools too. Which schools are making the jumps for those kids that were bench guys, role guys, JV guys, to being a guy that's needed to make big plays for you at stage 2. All right, so we played Border Towns, and then you guys got yourself kind of going in the right track a little bit. You put together 3 wins against Upper Perk, Upper Marion, and Phoenixville, and all of a sudden you looked at yourself, you're out of the mix, and you were moving up the district list a little bit there too. That's how fast these games, and you can see teams they're playing here Wednesday night, last day. They're trying to either get in or solidify their hold of where they're at in the district plays.
Yeah, there's a mad dash of teams playing games today, and trying to get that last playoff spot. Unfortunately, we're not able to, but it's just, you kind of summed up the whole season, man. It's just a roller coaster of emotions. I feel like I'm in a glass case of emotions.
Glass case of emotions. Yeah. And like you said here, we were talking pre-show about like playing a game, not playing a game, or a team playing a game that you've beat. And you're talking about, usually within the year, you move like a spot or 2. You're talking about moving like 7 spots. Like you can move up and down 7 with, like use Bordertown, for example. Right. When you're playing Bordertown 2 weeks ago, they're a borderline making the field or not. Now they're all the way in the top 8, I want to say, somewhere too, right?
And not only that, if they're if they're not at 8, they're pretty close to top 12, somewhere there. But
they're getting that first. They're not playing in that first pigtail round.
They might or they might not be, because there's games today.
Yeah, you're right. Good point. Yeah.
And the heck of it is too, like not everybody is playing their games today, which could definitely greatly impact them. So there's just a lot of factors that they're so much out of your control that it's almost like I'll check Wednesday night if I'm
see where I am.
Another coach. Yeah.
All right, so crazy's been a while. We got some highlights here. How about highlights? Springfield versus Upper Perk. We got those?
Yep.
All right, let's see Springfield versus Upper Perk.
Yeah, this was a game that was rescheduled a couple times originally. There's Scrocky hitting the middle of that zone, which he does. Santiago for 3, sticks with it there, and that's a nice little
put back layup for you there.
Yeah, this is a home game that was supposed to be a road game, so that was nice.
Did they change it? Was this like in the afternoon too, or you guys played at night? I can't remember.
I don't even.
Yeah, right. You can't remember.
It does look light in that gym though. But there's Gavin Schouder hitting a nice mid-range. But
you can see here, it's only a 10-point game. It's fourth quarter. Like the question. The final result's still in question here.
The score ended up 52-32, and that's not a good indicator of how close the game was.
Yeah.
And Upper Perk came into this game without a win, and I think that just again is on par for this season.
We saw their Cole Turner hit a 3 a couple highlights ago. I think he's one of those guys towards the end of the season. He's like, all right, here's my new role, and like he kind of embraced that new role towards the end of the season for you.
He was a great compliment to Scrocky, because I think going into the season, everybody knew
about Scrocky.
Scrocky, he was a first-team All-Leaguer, and he shows you why on that layup right there. But the question was, who's going to be Scrocky's, counterpart? Who's going to be the one that takes some of the load off of his shoulders? And Cole is a football player, a multi-sport athlete, and it took him a little bit to get the wheels going a little bit, but it was a nice compliment to Scrocky down the stretch there, which
because you see teams focusing on Scrocky really trying to take away, or like best defenders were on, and gave Cole an opportunity. And I thought Cole, as the season went on, a little more aggressive, looked for his shot a little bit more too. And exactly what you're talking about, just kind of ease his way into a new role for you.
Yeah, and defensively too, he was kind of like, hey, Cole, we need you to cover this guy. He might be a 5'8" guard, and the next day, Cole, we need you to cover this 6'4" forward.
Right, yeah.
So he kind of was a Swiss Army knife for us this year, which was we were real proud of him.
All right, so you got the win against Upper Perk, and then you went and played Upper Marion, who was putting together some big wins. They beat PV.
Yeah.
They were working their way up the 5A bracket essentially for you. And really, this is kind of when they kind of got you guys believing a little bit in the program and where you were going.
Yeah, that's always a tough place to play, and for whatever reason, the past couple of years, they've had the big school side's number. They've beaten a lot of us in the past year and a half. So it was a good win to go down there on the road and come home happy. Nice bus ride back.
All right, let's check out the highlights from Springfield Upper Marion.
This could be a little deceiving too. They were down a couple guys.
Okay.
But again, you know that everybody's been down a couple guys, so it was you got to play who's ever out in the court.
Who's available to you.
And it's good to see Santiago attacking the rim there, finishing at the rim. That's when he is at his best. What do we got in transition? Shouter leading the break, and
Scrocky getting in the middle, kind of his favorite thing he likes to do for you.
That's vintage Scrocky. And then there's Shouter with
the left.
a hook shot from
Little
the
left hooky kind I saw a couple times for him down the end of the year.
Yeah, I think he gets a nice dunk here, which was exciting to see. It was his first dunk of the season, and no doubt about that one, Coach.
Yeah, 6'7", you get above the rim there.
Yeah.
6'8" if you want to call it too.
Yeah.
Shifter was saying 6'8". I was like, maybe 6'7".
He's pretty tall.
He is
6'7",
tall.
6'8".
Okay.
I hope next year he's 6'10". Just keep going with it. I think he had a block there too, and you know he's one of those late bloomers where you know you grow 4 or 5 inches in a year, and it's tough to. Who's that?
Scrocky for
again.
3, yeah.
It's tough for your body to keep up when you're just growing
Yeah.
and growing. So
Once again, another guy's got to get used to just the difference between JV
Yeah.
basketball, and he was shorter last year, JV
Yeah.
basketball player, and now he's taller. He's speed, the physicality, all of it's a whole new. You know,
Yeah.
like that's a real question I think you'll have with him. You know, as you meet or talk, like, what do you really want out of your senior season? It depends on how you're going to handle yourself from now until next October.
So I think that conversation's not just specific to Shouter. I think 1 through 18 or whatever's coming back. You know, when you have a losing record on the year and you miss the district playoffs for the first time in certainly our coaching tenure here. I don't know. And Coach Young.
I think maybe Coach Young's first year might have been the first year. So yeah, you're probably talking over 10 years.
No, more than that because I'm close to 10 years here.
Yeah, and he was, so maybe 15 years,
Yeah.
something like that, yeah.
So I think we all need to take a step back and look at ourselves in the mirror as a coach, as a player. Last offseason, did we
COVID.
improve? Yeah.
COVID.
But you can still improve.
Improve, yeah, okay.
So you can't come back next year, whether you're a junior or senior or sophomore, with the same body frame and with the same skill set.
It's not going to work.
No, I mean, I could drop our season stats on you here, or should we tease it for the next break?
Yes, leave for the next time because we're as we said we're going to close out the season. We'll save for they got to come back for more. All right.
Okay.
All right. Make sure you stay tuned to the commercial break. We'll be back with more of Springfield basketball and Courtside with Coach Sally after this.
Oh, look, a redhead.
Staring contest.
You still got it.
I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
I was physically at school, but my mind wasn't at school. I had problems at home. That's when I met Narnese. She started helping me a little bit, like, Nia, I don't know what you're doing, but your future is more important. She's my strength. It takes a village to help somebody get their diploma. It changes your whole life.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to Courtside. I'm your host, John Brennan, with head coach Chris Talley here. All right, second segment here. More games, more highlights here. So like we said, we had the win against Upper Marion, and then you had, I feel like every year when we're on this show, we talk about Springfield, Phoenixville.
Yeah.
It's coming down to the wire. Something happens at the end that's crazy, and happened again this year with you guys.
Yeah, last year was overtime. This year was a 1-point game with a crazy exchange in the last 15, 16 seconds, and we survived and we came out with a 1-point victory.
Yeah, it was kind of, you guys had a nice little lead through
Yeah.
3 quarters, and I felt Phoenixville did a good job of, they played with some urgency finally.
Yeah.
They kind of turned you over. You missed some, those, sometimes they're quick shots, but they're good shots, against that
Yeah.
type of thing. But you missed some of them. They made their senior make some big shots
Yeah, he
for
did.
him, and
He did.
really kind of made it a game. I feel like, were we trailing at some point in the fourth quarter? Or was it a tie was worst case scenario? I can't
No.
remember. We were down.
They took their first lead of the game on, I forget, was it Memo with like 16
Yeah, it was the only
seconds
one
left?
I feel like taking
Yeah,
shots down the end. Yeah.
Yeah, that was their first lead of the game, and it lasted about 4 seconds because
And
Scrocky came
back
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree. I think for 3 quarters, I felt like we were on cruise control a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we played well. I thought defensively we were, and then in that fourth quarter, they chipped away at it, and it felt from a coach's standpoint. I haven't watched the film yet because you got a game the next day. From a coach's standpoint, it just felt like we kind of were playing to not make a mistake and playing to not lose, and instead of
Yeah, and their
attacking.
best player gets hot, makes
Yeah.
shots, and that just kind of, you saw it trickle through their team too a little bit. When your guy's making shots, it
Yeah.
gets everybody energized. in
And
a
from
situation.
a coaching standpoint, and I'm sure you watching, people watching, we talked a little bit about the zone. I felt like we stayed in the 2-3, maybe 2-3 possessions too long. But then the problem is we can't play them man with the lineup that we have. But we haven't practiced the 32 in 3 weeks.
Right.
So it's like, all right, we've been playing the 2-3. They're getting comfortable with it. We need to switch up. And that's kind of a deficiency of our team this year where, typically we're not a zone team. We want to play man, we want to trap, we want to
And
base.
sometimes the best teams you've had are teams you can play multiple defenses
Yeah.
with and feel comfortable playing multiple defenses. And if you barely feel comfortable playing one, like it's
Now we
not
got-
usually good going to the other ones. too.
Right. So now we're going to go to a defense that we could have a breakdown real quick, and Memo's kind of getting open now. Is he going to get really open if we switch? So it was. I'm glad to just get out of
But
there.
like you said, found a way to win a
Yeah.
game. And me and you talked a little bit after the game. Something you had to maybe you were going the right way, even though it didn't. You had contribution from really the
Yeah.
whole starting line. It was all like everybody was around 10. Like when the other team's got to guard all 5 and be concerned about
Right.
others, that's when you can really get dangerous.
Which is why we were in the game and we won the game. Like you can't just count on Scrocky. You need.
Which I thought we were a little bit going into that game. I felt like, too. Yeah.
Which is why you stumble here and there, and you can't get that consistency. You need 4 or 5 guys to get 6 or more every night.
And going back to the last segment, I think that happened in one of the Boyertown games. Scrocky didn't have it, missed some shots. Maybe the home one, he struggled a little bit, and just nobody found a way to pick up that major slack for him in that game too.
PJP and Mathakins.
PJP maybe was it. Yeah.
Those two Scrocky struggled, which it's basketball, and
You're going to get everybody's best guy looking at you
yeah,
too.
and sometimes 2 guys at you,
Yeah.
and even if you don't, you're going to have an off night because that's what happens in this game.
Basketball, yeah.
And especially when you're going back to back. So at that point, that's when the team concept comes in, and that's why we struggled a little bit.
All right, we got highlights there.
Yeah.
Springfield, Phoenixville. Let's check them out.
Another home game here.
Afternoon affair here too.
Yeah, real
Nice
early.
stuff right there.
Yep.
Even though you missed the layup.
Yeah, and
But you got the high-low, which you're looking to do against zone.
But that's the layup that I said, like, in
The
other
differences
games.
between, right.
Yeah, and there's no reason we missed that, but good for Nate for getting in there and cleaning it up. There's
Okay.
Turner.
Once again, if teams want to watch how to beat a zone, you get into that foul line area right there, and you really got to be focused taking away because so much is available
Yeah.
when you get the ball there.
Well, beating a zone is it's a good finish by Cressley there. Beating a zone is all about attacking and not just playing catch out on the 3-point line.
Yep.
Who's that? Shouter
Block the
and
other
Nate?
way, yeah. Block maybe by Santiago.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is in the first half where you felt like you had good control. You're causing turnovers.
Yeah.
Memo's not getting tons of shots out there, or what he is getting contested.
Yeah, Shouter feels like he's had a couple impact blocks there late,
And that's one where you feel like you should have, that you're a bigger team than them. You should have been able to
Yeah.
alter some shots inside.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be huge next year because you have Shouter and Cressley back. So you just hope that a year of maturity, a year physically and mentally stronger, and come back with a better skill set. That could be two nice pieces next year.
All right, so now we have Methacton. We're playing the next day, Saturday afternoon, and you're looking at the schedule. Now both of you are in the just rankings, and it was like a 15, 16, you had pieced together, and Methacton had kind of stumbled. They lost the PV.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Methacton, huge watcher of the show. They're like, "Where's the show?" They were asking me about it. I think
Sure.
And I was like, "Listen, I couldn't do it, guys." They're like, "All right, well, we want to be watching." And then after the game, I was like, "I don't think we're going to show the highlights because you guys just ripped us there a little bit there too." But we'll still abide by the rules here.
Yeah.
And we'll show. I'm sure you as a coach, and that had to be one of Methacton's best games they played all year long. Shot the ball well, caused havoc on the defensive end. I know you probably you haven't watched the film.
No.
But I felt like there was a stage here where you didn't score for 4 minutes at the end of the second quarter, then 4 minutes to start the third quarter. They put together a stretch where good shots you guys had. You just guys literally couldn't buy a bucket.
Yeah, and that's been their MO this year. Prior to our game, they held O&J to 33 and Boyertown to 33. Two teams that can score. And so we knew coming in, you have to put the ball in the bucket, got to get to the foul line. They only play 5.5 guys.
Yeah.
You got to kind of attack them, get them in foul trouble, make them, not as aggressive on the defensive end, and we weren't able to do that. And then you couple that with, Price hitting, I think he had 6 threes. And,
something like that. Yeah, crazy.
It is a tough matchup for us. For sure.
I felt like it was the first time watching you guys two where you started to look tired.
Yeah.
It had worn on you the week of basketball, just jump shots were short, a step slow on defense. I felt, once again, not make excuses, Methacton played an absolute great basketball game. I just felt the fatigue had set in with you guys that afternoon too.
Before the game, I was getting some treatment like I do, and it was a little.
Were you thinking about going out and playing? You're saying, or
no?
I didn't
No, but my point is, it was a little busier in that training room.
Yeah.
And nobody was injured. Just guys were banged up and sore and icing and heating and just doing whatever they could to get out on that court. And as a coach, you get to the point where you're like, all right, guys, dig in one more time. I remember waking up Saturday morning before the Methacton game, telling my wife, I'm like, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And I haven't played 1 minute.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
And how many times can you keep saying to the kids,
Yeah.
I need one more out of you, I need one more out of
Yeah.
you. It's tough.
So you feel for them. So
Yeah.
I'm never happy after,
Right.
a loss. I mean, I'm typically not happy after a win.
Yeah.
But after that one, it was kind of a throwaway game, and you just kind of like, all right, we got through this week. You finally get a day off tomorrow, and let's try to finish off the season strong.
All right, let's take a look at the highlights for the Methacton coaches. Hopefully they're still watching. Springfield Methacton.
Another home game.
Yep. There you are, high post.
Yep. Good ball movement.
Extra pass.
Good open shot. Is that
Turner, maybe?
Turner? Yeah.
Yep.
He carried us in that first half. There's Santiago there.
Sticking with the play.
Yeah.
But you can see here at the end of the third quarter, it's really gotten away from you at this stage here too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Alex Lewis.
With the left hand finish.
Good move from a sophomore.
Lewis, another guy for you, kind of have to find a new role for himself.
Yeah.
He's been a forward, his whole life, and now is he really a forward size guy for you, So
He's just kind of a basketball player. He's only a sophomore. He's as crafty as a basketball player as you're going to find. He'll be dominating the local YMCA's the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Just a smart, headsy basketball player. Good anticipation.
Yeah, and I felt like you said, the first quarter you're in the game, you were getting turnover. They literally had made threes the whole first quarter. That's all they had been able to do that first quarter.
Yeah, and it's just, it's one of those games.
Yeah, yeah.
And happens at the worst times, but we gotta find a way, dig in, and it's not easy, but this is what we got. It's what's in front of us.
So that left us here with this final week here, and Monday with Pottstown, the game got canceled. So that left you with that O&J game last night, where, like you said, you talked about the kids new and just couldn't find a way to win. And that's sometimes where credit to O&J, like you said, kind of played that underdog role. Like, hey, we can ruin their season, we can end their season here tonight. And those kids at O&J kind of embraced that role. And
it kind of just a summation of our season. I think we had them to 18 or 19 points in the first half. We come out in the third quarter, and we didn't get off to a terrible start. And O&J kept chipping away at it. Our defensive rotations weren't good, and we're not communicating on defense, who's covering who, just simple, basic stuff that can happen. And
you saw, and that was the end result last night.
When you're playing against a team who's desperate, whose season's over, they know they can end your season. They're at their home gym, which is a shooter's gym. They shoot it well. They had, I think, 10 threes. I think we had 2.
Yeah, there it is.
And you got to score, you got to defend, and you got to find ways, and we didn't.
I'd say give yourself a week or so here before you start going back and watching this end of the year film. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna kick yourself a little bit about opportunities missed. Games missed, whatever, however you want to look at it. Then too. Go back to the PJP game. That's another game you had a chance to win too. That's fourth quarter. It's a one possession game. That sort of thing too.
Yeah. PJP. Methacton the first time.
Yeah, there's another one.
There's a litany of games, and here we are.
Yeah, not the way I wanted to end the season at Courtside, Coach. Not what I was looking. I'm sure not the same for you either.
This is the first time I think we've ended Courtside like this, where it's been this somber.
Yeah, Hopefully, maybe people stay to watch the end here.
What if we don't get brought back for the next season?
Yeah, who knows? You know what I mean at this stage.
Right.
But like you said, you and the boys, you're going to put the work in off season. You'll be ready for the next campaign next year.
Yep.
All right, Coach. Once again, you're graduating some seniors out there. Always tough to see, but remember, they're always welcome back for Hoagie Day.
Yeah.
Hoagie Day's back on in next year, right?
We need to find a way.
Okay. I'm sure people struggle with it this year, not being able to.
We made sure we kept the tradition on in our own little way, but it wasn't the same. We needed everybody. We need the whole band back together.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that in 2021.
Got it.
All right, Coach. Great season for you. Best of luck next year. All right.
Thanks, Coach. Yep.
All right. Make sure you tune in next season to Coach Talley and I here on Courtside. For Coach Talley, I'm John Brennan. See you next time, Courtside.